There we go. Okay, so today we are going to talk about wholesale versus retail and everything that goes in hand with that. There's differences in branding, differences in how you run your website. We know that the market and the clientele is completely different. So there's a whole lot of differences on doing and how to run them. So we're going to do touch a little bit. Obviously, we can't go like fully in depth on all of it because there's just so much to talk about. But we're going to try and just do a kind of cross section as much as possible. And obviously, if there's any questions, we're open to answering any questions as well. So we're going to start with kind of just diving into the branding side of things. How is a retail website different from a wholesale website, and what considerations should we take with regards to doing the build out? And are you doing combination site versus a two separate sites? So without further ado, I'm Karla. Sorry, I did forget to introduce myself. So I'm Karla. I do sales and project management here at Hot Mess Consulting, and I love chatting to all you ladies and hope to chat to anyone new as well. If you're joining for the first time or haven't worked with us, you will potentially touch base with me throughout the project if you ever do work with us. And then we've got Sharlene. I'm going to let her introduce herself as well. And she can take it off from here.
Perfect. So, yeah, like Karla said, my name is Sharlene, aka Wild Lily or Empress Wild Lily, and I'm a senior designer here at Hot Mess Consulting for the past 3 years. So, I work together with the clients by listening to their needs and really trying to understand their vision when they approach us. They always give us their full vision, and we try to give them the best result as possible. Perfect. So just jumping right in, I made myself a few points. So let's just go ahead. So when things that you are looking to do when you are designing a sorry guys, I am super nervous. This is one of my first lives. So just bear with me. I did make myself a few notes. Just so I stay on task and target throughout the live, obviously. Okay, so when designing a retail clothing website versus a wholesale website, there are different considerations, obviously due to the client's demographics and what objectives they're looking to accomplish. So from a designer's perspective, some of the main differences to consider when planning out these two type of websites. Things that we'd be looking at are obviously the visual appeal and the aspects of the aesthetic. So that's your logos and your branding, the kind of messaging you're actually putting out to the clients. Then we look at things like product presentation. Retail websites, we're obviously dealing with immersive experience versus with wholesale websites, like more of a functionality, utility experience.
Yeah, you kind of need to get extra, when you get on the wholesale website, you want to get to the project more faster. You want to be able to have more options to put them into your cart faster. You don't maybe want as big a description, for instance. You want to make sure all the information that your resellers is going to need is in your wholesale project. So it's a complete different approach to product presentation, like Charles taking. And then with the retail side, you really want to give them as much information to close that sale, to make sure they are so in touch and so involved and just want that product in their cupboard that they add that to cart immediately, without being obviously over the top, because if you've got too much words, in the end of the day, you might also bore the client. So really making sure that even just, and this is actually where everything gets kind of hand in hand, this is where SEO also comes in, and really making sure you're hitting all those specific keywords and making sure you are enticing your clients on both sides with that.
That's right, Karla. And then also things that you'd be looking at is obviously the pricing and availability. Is your pricing different from the retail to the wholesale? And why would they be? Would you want that pricing to actually be exposed on the wholesale website? But we'll dive into all of those things in just a bit. Let's just get through our points. So, like Karla said as well, the user experience when they are landing on that site, how are they navigating through your site? Is there a specific funnel that you're taking them through to get to the supposed end result? Also, what kind of call to actions are you using on both of the sites? What should we focus on in retail versus wholesale? Go ahead, Karla.
So sorry, I was reading a message from Angela. So I was, what was the question? I actually missed you.
So with the call to actions.
Right, perfect. Yeah, call to actions are very different for retail and wholesale. Well, there's some similarities. Your pop-ups, you still want to grab them for your mailing list because you always want to make sure you retarget and reach out to any people you have previously sold to. Repeat customers is very big business in wholesale, so you want to make sure that you still have a proper mailing list and a mailing capture for that. Same with wholesale, with retail. You want to make sure you get their email and maybe even their phone number. Text messages do have a better open rate, but not everyone always reads them. They kind of just open them to make sure they're not there and not sitting there anymore. But as far as those are going, you always want to have those call to actions. For wholesale, you always want to have a apply for wholesale action. If someone isn't a wholesaler with you yet, you want to make sure that they can get to how do they apply for you? What is your policies even before they apply for you, so that they are clued in with what they need to know even before they become and apply wholesale with you. With retail, it's a little bit more simpler. You want to reach out to your social medias or upcoming events, or maybe you're doing a gift card. You want to make sure you're hitting all of that to grow and engage them further in your platforms and your social space, so that even if your touch point is not per se your website, you can get them on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok. Or if you've got an app, you can push them towards the app so that you are sure to capture them as well. Now, there's always overlap between the two, but there are certain things that are specific to wholesale, which is the application process and the apps. And we'll dive a little bit deeper into that a little bit later as well.
Perfect. So let's just go back to that visual appeal and the aspects of the aesthetics. So, like I said, when we do get a client that's looking for a wholesale site, firstly, we'd look at the visual identity in place. Is there one? And then we'd start looking at the visual identifiers. Some clients say they don't want their retail to look anything like their wholesale. And this could be the case if you were at all concerned that the wholesale retailers would find conflict of interest, which in most cases isn't the case. Some clients may want their retail and wholesale to feel like the same brand across the board for easy identification in public, which in that case, we would look at using existing elements, but tailoring them towards a wholesale strategy.
Yeah.
For it,
I
go
think this
ahead.
is, yeah, surely. I think this is a very interesting thing, and it's something that comes up very often when I speak to clients that maybe want to dive into wholesale, or they haven't established wholesale, especially with the new people. Though, is like, how closely related do you want the two brands to be? Because there is always that sense of when a wholesaler also offers retail, is, are they in competition with the other people that are stocking their products? And most cases it's not. It's just another revenue stream. And they won't do deep discounts and stuff like that. They just want to make sure that there's another revenue stream. So if there is that apprehension of worrying about that competition, that's definitely where we would do a little bit more difference in the branding for that space. But in most cases, you want that brand identity. You want to make sure people know who you are, know where to get, and then you can cross link as well. So on your retail store, you can link to your wholesale, and on your wholesale store, you can link to your retail. That way, you are actually capturing all of your people, and people that you might not normally have can see that you offer this wide range, and they can apply. Maybe they're looking to dip their toe into the market of actually starting their own boutique, and they can end up on your retail store. They can then see how can they expand and offer great products that they've maybe shopped with you before themselves. So it really is good that you can then cross link like that as well.
So, Karla, should we just show them a few examples? So
I think
I'm just going to pull up and then we can have a quick look at some of the examples just so we get more visuals going. Okay.
And thanks so much for everyone else that's joined, Cassie and Glenna. And if I'm missing anyone, just thanks so much for joining and spending some time with us here today.
Alrighty. So first site we're going to be looking at is, firstly, are you seeing my screen right here, Karla?
Yes, everything is sharing
Okay.
perfectly.
So first client we're going to be looking at is Truly Contagious. So she started this brand, the CC brand, which obviously she's taken wholesale now. So she wants two different websites. She wants them to feel quite similar, but she doesn't want the exact same website across retail versus wholesale. So what we did was we just started with her retail site, and then when we moved on to a wholesale site, we saw how we could use some of the elements and incorporate them just with a different kind of feel. So the websites feel the same, but they don't look exactly the same. So let's move downwards. Okay, so first things first, she wants to place emphasis on the CC brand. So that comes front and center, then along with her collections. So you can see the nature of the site is a retail site. She's got her certain call to actions going on. So Facebook group. So this is more trying to capture the essence of the brand. She's got her text club, so her retailers can join. Gift cards, some customer love, and then, of course, her Instagram feed. So this really creates the essence of the brand when you are coming to the site as a client. Now we're going to look at her wholesale site and see the differences. Karla, do you want to give any input here?
No, perfect. Take us through the
Okay.
wholesale and then we can chat.
Alrighty. So on her wholesale website, as you can see, the logo has changed up. So on her retail site, this was the first logo, and then we just included it, cleaned it up with wholesale. So Contagious Wholesale. We gave her two banners as opposed to the one, so she can change out, still placing emphasis on that CC brand. And she also has the ready to grab boxes. So nice and easy for retailers that don't want to spend too much time picking and choosing. They are already pre-planned for them. Front and center, straight away, sign up for wholesale. So you're grabbing them as they are landing on the site. We aren't giving out pricing as yet, so you would have to sign up as a wholesale to receive that pricing, as well as all the information codes are included on the images. So the difference with regards to wholesale versus retail is we're placing emphasis on the actual information on each site. So when you go over the images, you can see exactly what sizes, the weights.
Yeah, and as you can see, this is two different designs, but they are still connected. There is still brand recognition. It's still flowing through, even though it's two completely different sites stocking similar products.
And then we have the apply for wholesale. There we go.
Yes. So there's different ways we do lock down wholesale sites. This one we have locked down completely. So basically, what I mean by that is that you can see a homepage and you can see a couple of products on her homepage, but you can't really see much more on the rest. We can lock down a site all the way to just show no products whatsoever. We find this is very often done when there are easily replicatable, or the client is scared their designs get stolen, or they have a history of designs being stolen, before they've even been sold out. So then we could lock it down completely, even without a sneak peek. Or we can have people be able to see the store and interact with the store completely, but they just can't add to cart or see the pricing until they've applied and been approved to shop with you as a stockist.
Alrighty, so next we're going to be going across to one of our loyal clients, JDK. So she stocks a range of bralettes, which has just exploded in the US. So we absolutely love her brand. Super comfortable. I believe that she will be on our group later today. So just keep an eye out for that, for some of those details coming through. So this is her retail site, and we can just have a look at the differences. So we pick and choose the different collections that we're wanting, and then we place emphasis on some sale items. We have our call to actions, address details, what our customers are saying. So she has a lovely testimonial section coming through, and then her Instagram. Okay, so let's go across to her wholesale site now. A completely different look and feel, but still same. So we kept the logo the same, our brand identifier, JDK. And she has different messaging related to the actual wholesale of the site. So low minimum quantities, open packs, apply for wholesale. So the messaging is different. Retail favorites. So when you are signing up for a brand, straight away you can see what other retailers are buying into. The shipping details, ready to ship, pre-orders. The next market, check dates. So if you are wanting to link up with her, go across to her website. You can see her at the next market. Join her wholesale group. So she has a different group for a wholesale group. Integrating some videos. I won't play that too long. And then there's also a wholesale blog.
Yeah. So whether you're starting out or you just wanting to dip your toe into wholesale, or you've got an established wholesale, we work, with all different sizes of wholesalers. If you're just starting out, we definitely do a full discovery call. We find out, what is your main business? How big is your wholesale business? How much are you which avenue do you want to put most attention on? Whether are we going to do two sites like we've just shown, or the one that we're going to show next? Are we going to do a combination site where retail and wholesale's on one site? It really depends on how you want to manage, and if you're open to the compromises of a single site versus two sites. In the end of the day, there's so many different assets and aspects that are different. Your clientele is different. You want to make sure you're targeting them correctly. So we would more times out of none advocate for two separate sites if you're in that position to do that than none, just because there are so many differences in the two different clienteles, and how you reach your market, and how you tailor even just your messaging on your emails. For instance, that's one of the big ones. You can't have two sets of different emails in the back end of Shopify. You have one set. So if you have a combination store, how are you adjusting that verbiage to make sure they are both satisfying retail and wholesale clients at the same time? There's a lot of compromise when you do a combination store. It's doable, but we will talk you through all of those compromises, which emails is being one of them, apps is being one of them, your discount codes being another one, making sure you are excluding who needs to be excluded in certain discount codes. So there's a lot of compromises in a combination store, but it's completely doable, especially if you're only starting out and your brand is smaller, or you just want to dip your toe in and see if the wholesale thing is going to work for you. It's possible in a combination store. But if you're ready to go all in, like no one else, two sites would be ideal, because you can then really focus down and drill down on the details and the nuances that is required for a B2B versus a B2C market. So very important. So yeah, Sharlene, show the combination store for us.
Alrighty, just give me a sec. Okay, so next website we're going to be looking at is Jojo Silver, Authentic Navajo Turquoise. So this lady creates her own jewelry, as well as sourcing jewelry, authentic jewelry from Navajo turquoise, from the Navajos. Alrighty, so she does wholesale as well. You can apply for wholesale. She wanted a combination site. So what you see on her site is retail as well as wholesale. So new arrivals. Let's just check this out on mobile. So on mobile, they change sizing.
So another reason for doing a combination site is, for instance, if you do your full complement of inventory, it's all going to be available for wholesale, and you're going to do like a bulk discount across everything. Instead of doing variable discount per product, maybe you're going to discount all of your products 50% or 60% or 40, whatever you choose that threshold to be. Then one site is obviously less logistics, especially if you just use an app to discount your products. So this is what we did for her, as well as we always add some custom fail-safe coding just to make sure, oh no, her Instagram needs to be relinked. So it's really nice. If you do our health checks, we always check that kind of thing, and we'll always let you know as well. Has something gone amiss? Do you need to relink your Instagram? But yeah, so that's what we did. So we basically have, when you log in, you will see different pricing. If you log in and you're actually a wholesaler, there's an identifier in the back end, which will then discount the pricing for you in this site. Perfect.
Okay.
So
okay, Limeberry Design. Okay, so she wanted to keep her website very simple, to the point. It's a combination of retail and wholesale. So we decluttered everything on the site and just had a few items. So she segmented them into clothing, graphic of the month, so their chosen graphic, and graphic tees.
perfect. And then when you click on wholesale at the top or at the bottom,
goes through to the application.
you've got your application process. Now, the application process you can handle in a couple of different ways. You can do this with a Google form, or you can do it with an app such as Customer Fields inside of Shopify, which really allows you to tailor the questionnaire, and then it is linked to your Shopify customers, opposed to having an offline form that you then need to transfer the details onto Shopify. Whether you can do that with integration apps, but something such as customer fields, there's a couple of others out there as well, but that allows you to have your wholesale application data speak to your Shopify customer data. We also have some wholesalers that actually don't even have a website for their wholesale just yet. They just do an offline application and they manage wholesale orders via email. Obviously, the bigger your business grows, the more automated you would like that to be. And that's when you definitely want to start looking at either doing a combo store or doing its own store on its own.
Okay, let's go across to Laura Inglis, designer of these beautiful caps. One of a kind.
This is also a combination store, so you're seeing retail pricing, and then when you log in, it will be adjusted to wholesale pricing. In this case, we have two separate sets of products, but in one store. So there is a lot more custom coding required if you do a combination and you're doing variable pricing and it's not a bulk discount. On the front end, you can still see, though, we kept her brand the same completely. Okay.
Okay.
Perfect. I think that's great on the examples. Or do you have, oh, you have one more.
I just have one more. So this is Golden Lily. So let's start with her retail. She wanted them to look almost identical, the sites, with just slight differences. So you'll see that coming across in the call to actions, as well as slight tweaks in the coloring. But for most part, they are exactly the same website. So Golden Beginnings versus Welcome to Wholesale, front and center. This also makes it easier if you are someone that's wanting to change out your graphics quite often across the board. It is easier if the graphics are exactly the same from site to site, that you only need to do it once. So that is maybe one of the reasons why you would want to have the collections, for example, or some of the banners to be exactly the same from site to site. So if we go across to the call to actions, we got like our Facebook, gift cards, and your text club. She uses one text club for both, just with a different label, just to segment them. And she leads them to wholesale. So apply to wholesale. Also some information, proud member of the Boutique Hub. And her Insta also obviously needs to be linked up again, but this all links directly to her social media. Let's see, apply for wholesale.
Yeah. So as far as branding goes, you really have a choice of how similar do you want it or how different do you want it. It's completely, the world is your oyster in that space. What would you say, Charlene, right?
Yes, of course. It all depends on your unique needs for your brand. Who is your demographic? Are you wanting them to see your site being the same as retail versus wholesale or not? Is there a reason that you'd want them to be similar? But that all comes down to obviously your user experience and your marketing research around your brand to get those answers that you're looking for.
Yeah. Perfect. Do you have a couple more talking points that we haven't quite dived into? Your product presentations.
So in terms of call to actions, I mean, things that we'd be looking at, obviously, if we'd be focusing on retail versus wholesale, retail clothing website call to actions would be more in the buy now, shop now, or add to cart, view details, those certain buttons. Whereas we'd also be linking them to various platforms, like if you have a mobile app, like your Facebook group or your Instagram and TikTok feed, where would you link these up? To either your websites or display apps like Juniper. Whereas on wholesale websites, you'd place more emphasis on getting the wholesale retailer all the information they need to steer them easily to signing up for your wholesale program.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you so much for showing all those examples. I think some visual aids sometimes is really nice to just kind of see that you can go pretty much anywhere with a brand. And it doesn't have to be the same, or if you would like it to be, you can also do that. Um, And then, as far as just your user experience as well, you want to make sure, and we did touch on it a little at the start, but you want to make sure that you look at your demographic, like Sharlene was saying. Who are you selling to? What's going to make it the easiest way for them to shop your site? On the wholesale side, adding bulk order options or bulk discount options, depending on what you're offering and how you'd like to offer that. But adding to cart in bulk, that's a big thing because you don't want people to have to add your products one by one. That's frustrating. So making sure that you are making it as easy as possible for them to shop with you in your store. Let's see. I just want to check these notes. So other considerations for doing one site versus two, I did touch on the emails and the discount codes and the size of the brand. It's really how much attention do you want to also give to that brand? Having two sites is double the work. Having one site, it's still a lot of work. Even though you do one site or two sites, it's the same amount of work. Sometimes having a combination site is actually more work than having two different sites. Obviously, there's more costs involved having two different sites. You'll have to have two different Shopify stores, two different Shopify payments, two different sets of apps in the back end. But the beauty of having two different stores is you can target the correct audience with the messaging and your emails and your discounts. No.
Perfect.
Are there any questions from anyone that's joined? Hey, Carolyn, I see you've jumped in. I'll just see if there's anything in the chat for us. Hey, Cassie. Sorry. So if there's no questions for anything specific, I think I'll just touch a little bit more on just a couple of apps that we can suggest just in general, just from the wholesale side. Definitely having an application process in place. That's very important when you're starting out, making sure you're capturing all the details, all the seller's permits that you require from a legal standpoint, all the questions you need. Are they selling online? Are they selling in a store? How do you sell? Do you have minimum quantities? Making sure that you have all of those questions on your intake to make sure that you can have a seamless application process. How do you lock down your store? Making sure that, do I want to show some of my products? Do I want to show none of my products? Do I want to have separate stores versus one, and then designing that brand? How similar, how different we want to. I did mention customer fields or Google Forms for just the application processes. There's a couple more out there. Bulk ordering apps. We love multivariants for that, and for tiered pricing as well. So it's super important that you speak to someone that, or do your research on your market first as well. And then we can dive in. Obviously, you can always chat to us. We've got so many questions. You can pop us an email as well. We've worked with many wholesalers in various different stages and different ways. And that is what is different with wholesale versus retail. It's a very personal experience because we tailor make your needs and we build the store based on how much you need and what parameters is needed for you. Um, the process of just designing, sorry, Cassie, just the process of designing a store or incorporating wholesale. It's
Both.
both. Okay. So if you, for instance, did the full package with us and do the wholesale add-on, we would do it alongside the full package. So that would be on normal timelines. If you were adding it as a separate add-on on its own, it normally would take us about 2 weeks to just kind of get you onboarded, discuss everything with you, decide on the apps that's needed, and then actually do the coding. Because we, like I mentioned, we do fail-safe coding. And we do that whole discovery process with you, but usually about 2 to 3 weeks maximum on getting it all incorporated and doing the evaluation with you.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yep.
And that's kind of what we've prepared for today. We were wondering if there was any more questions, then we can answer some more. But I think the main takeaway, like we've mentioned, is just making sure you do your research and then that you can evaluate how different and how similar you would like to have the brand, depending on the factors that was mentioned earlier, and making sure that you chat to us. If you have any questions, we're always here to answer them and guide you in the right direction with regards to your specific needs.
I do have one more. Can I ask?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, of course.
Karla, we met. It's probably been 6 months ago now, but I have your information. I actually just pulled it back out because I've just given this process a lot of thought because we are wholesale only for children's clothing brand, and I want to go in direct to consumer. So we talked about the combination store versus the two standalone, and I guess once we dive deeper, we can go into it. But I just think about I have staff, and they're having to keep up with two separate stores in the inventory back and forth. I think that would make their head spin a little bit. And so I have seen the combination. I do have a competitor that is a combination right now, and they just have a flat 50% off, and they have the wholesale. But I don't know, just going back and forth. I love the two examples that you showed with the two separate sites, but I just think, I don't know, just talking out loud here, just keeping up two with the inventory back and forth, it would be hard. Especially with my brand, I drop 3 collections every week. So it's constant turnover, and I don't know. That's just my thoughts.
Yeah, definitely. Inventory levels is part of that decision. And if it's going to be a straight discount, a combination store is definitely easy enough to do. But if it's not going to be straight discounts, it's a little bit more complicated and will be the same amount of work. But if it's a straight, 40% or 50% discount, having a combination store is a little bit easier just on staff and management. But you do have those compromises in the back end with the discount codes and the emails, like we've so both has their pros and cons, and it's really up to you in the end of the day which pros and which cons, which way it leans towards, if you're really going to decide for that separate versus the combination store. And if you really need to, there's always third-party inventory integrations that can help you manage that inventory a little bit better, so you have better control over your products and not as much work. But yeah, I'd love to chat to you again and see just your specific niche and needs for your store.
Sure. Thanks.
Perfect. then I think that's it for today. I would just want to say thank you for everyone that joined. It was lovely chatting to you all and having you jump in. If there's any questions, we will be posting the replay. And you will be able to add some more comments, and we will be watching it for the rest of the week. So if there's anything that pops up, we will be able to answer you again after that. And anyone who hasn't been able to catch us live today, please do also interact. We will be able to get to you. And if there's any separate questions, you can always book a call with us as well, so that we can speak about your individual needs as well, because they are very different for every single option or every single client. So thank you so much. Have a lovely day further.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.